Okay, so we know all of these immigrants have come into the United States from Europe and Asia, and we know that they all had high hopes for life in the United States. They were ready to fulfill their American dream and pursue new economic opportunities brought on by factory jobs from the Industrial Revolution. So you're going to experience what it was like for factory workers living during this time. But before that, we need to look a little bit more into some of the economic opportunities. Okay, so based on the wages of a factory worker, families had a budget for what they needed. How would they be spending different today compared to spending options for factory workers during industrialization? Okay, so they had to budget for what they need. They needed to make sure to get what they needed before what they wanted. Okay, they would be spending differently compared to spending options just for those who were already in the United States working in factories. Immigrants are not going to be paid as much just yet. All right, so first let's talk about what makes something a want and what makes something a need. All right, a need is something you must have to survive. Food, water, shelter, clothes, shoes. These are all things you have to live in today's society. Now, a want is something you want, but you don't have to have it to survive. For example, toys or entertainment, you don't have to have those things to survive. Junk food, unless it's the only food available, you don't need junk food to survive. Brand names, yes, you need clothes and shoes, but does it have to be the latest Nikes or Jordans or anything like that? No, it doesn't. Okay, and newer equipment. If you have something that works, you don't have to have the newest option or the newest addition. That would just be a want. Okay, so to figure out a little bit more about the differences between wants and needs, you could click the little video link on this slide, and I believe it should be a brain pop video that will explain the difference a little bit more. So I want you to think about it. What is the difference between a want and a need? I'm going to give you a second to pause and answer the question. Okay, the difference between a want and a need is that a want is something you don't have to survive, but a need is something you must have to survive. So, with that said, if you were budgeting, which one do you think you need to make sure that you have first? Your needs, right? So let's practice. Let's analyze if these next few items are a want or a need. All right, shelter. This is a need. We need shelter to stay safe. Now, the fanciest mansion ever built, that would be a want, okay? We need shelter, but we don't need a very huge mansion. All right, so why is the first house a need and the second house a want? Well, the first house is only what you need, and the second house has a lot more room than what you need, which makes it a want. Okay, food, is this a want or a need? It's a need, right? Why is it hard to determine if a certain food item is a want or a need? Well, we need food to survive, but we don't necessarily need food that's unhealthy for us unless that's all that is available. So sometimes it's kind of hard to discern if food is a want or a need. If you see a big gumball machine full of gumballs, those aren't necessarily a need because they're not really going to do anything for you. That would be a want. All right, clothing items, want or need? They are definitely a need. You need clothes to go out in today's society. However, you do not need the latest pair of Nikes or Jordans. That's going to be a want. The brand name is a want, but just being able to have a pair of shoes to wear is a need. All right, so think about it. What are some items that may be a need for some people, but a want for others? It kind of depends on people's situations. For example, a car. For someone who has to have the car to get to work to make money, it would be a need. But for someone who can ride the bus and get there just fine, then a car would be a want. So some items could go either way. But as long as you understand that a need is something that you have to survive and a want is something that you don't have to survive, you just want it, then you would be able to see how these factory workers were thinking. They were trying to budget out to make sure that they could get their their needs before their wants. Okay, so in our next lesson, we are going to be talking about budgeting and how these factory workers had to budget. So I want you to comment for your exit ticket today. What is the difference between a want and a need?